My 30F husband, 33M, sent an apology to his ex-girlfriend from 8 years ago, without my knowledge. Back my junior year of college, I was struggling with a breakup and failing a semester's worth of classes. My mom and stepdad were in the midst of a divorce, so I didn't have much support from them. When I came home that summer, I ran into my old high school sweetheart, Sam. Sam used to call me the love of his life, his future, his everything. But I was stupid and ended things. And when he started dating, I realized I wasn't ready to move on. Nothing I did could convince him to try again, so he found a new girlfriend and I went to college. Meeting up that summer, things weren't bitter or anything. He had ghosted me before, so I was a little confused, but our talk went well and I asked if we could be friends since I needed someone. He said sure. He told me right away he was still dating the same girl and I said okay. Later on that week, I was distraught as hell, called him up because I needed some comfort, and we did it. We did it in the morning, too. None of that was my intent inviting him over, but it happened. He left telling me this was over. I got pregnant, and while I didn't want to let him or anyone else know, my mom ended up telling him and his girlfriend, which led them to break up. Sam and I ended up together and now have a son. We're in couples counseling as I deep down know Sam doesn't see me much like a wife, but more a roommate or co-parent. I do love him, and I know he likely won't ever leave because of our son and guilt. I did, however, see on his phone he messaged his old ex-girlfriend. I've occasionally looked her up, but she doesn't have a lot of social media. In the message, he wrote a long, and I mean long, message apologizing for all he had done. What a selfish boyfriend he was. He has carried the weight of his choice every day, and he was so happy to see how much she has done since their breakup. Her brother had committed suicide around the time we cheated. I was frustrated at the message and confronted, asking where was my long apology for how much he's put me through by not being a respectful partner. Sam told me he was guilty for what we did to her, not anything our dumb choices did him or me. He thinks I'm being overdramatic getting upset. How can I get him to understand this is wrong? My 25M girlfriend, 26F, who I live with, told me she thinks I might not be good enough for her. So this just happened. We were watching a movie, and after we finished, she said, "I wonder if you're good enough for me," kinda what the movie was about. At first I thought she was joking, but she was dead serious. For more context, she basically told me she doesn't think I have a future because I wasn't able to save enough money till now. I've been working a white-collar job for a little over 2 years now, and I don't have a lot saved up as I had other expenses. I'm honestly shocked and don't really know what to think. This feels humiliating as I know my career is moving in the right direction. I'm even thinking about taking a mortgage soon, so it feels weird for her to say that. We've been together for about 2 years and living together for 6 months. We've never had any major fights, but this might be the first time I'm actually upset with her. We always split the bills, rent, so I don't know where that came from, and I don't know what to think about this. Thoughts? TLDR. My girlfriend said she wonders if I'm not good enough for her and I don't know what to think. Edit. It's now morning and I thought I would do a quick update. Thanks for all your thoughts. Despite the vast majority of you saying I should break up, life is not so black and white, and I was not willing to throw away a relationship we had for almost 2 years over a single conversation without talking it out first. She apologized to me first thing in the morning and said she didn't want it to come out like this. She stands by the fact I don't know how to save money, but she doesn't think I'm not good enough. I told her how it made me feel and asked if, given the chance, she would want to pursue a relationship with someone wealthier, to which she immediately declined. I know her long enough to know she felt really bad for what happened last night, but none of this changes the fact that what she said really hurt. In the past 2 years, we've never had a similar situation or any other argument over money, so I do believe she didn't mean it that way. Some of you might think I'm dumb for staying in this relationship, but the past 2 years are the happiest I've ever been.
Boyfriend 28M refuses to propose to me 26F until I lose 30 pounds. I've read whatever I could find on this subject and everyone says to dump the boyfriend who demands weight loss in exchange for a proposal. I want a verdict on my situation. I'm 26, 5 feet 6 and 165 pounds. I have a muscular build but I do have some weight in my midsection. I've been going to the gym since I was 18, when I previously had weighed around 190 pounds. When boyfriend and I first started dating, I was 175 but not as muscular. So I've dropped 10 pounds and I'm more lean since we started dating. Next month is our 2.5-year anniversary. We've already discussed that we want to get married and have kids in the near future but no proposal yet. This past year I've told him I'm growing tired of waiting because we already live together and I'm cooking and cleaning for him and I'm tired of doing all that without a ring on my finger. This conversation has come up many times and this last time he said he plans on proposing soon, but today he said he won't propose to me until I lose weight. He said he wants me to have a thigh gap. He's been making comments about my weight our entire relationship and always saying he wishes I had a thigh gap. He says everything else about me is perfect except for my weight. He says he doesn't want to marry me unless I'm skinny because he doesn't want to be trapped and stuck with a fat woman. I told him I've been losing weight and I plan on being 145 by the end of the year. I told him if I have a wedding date to look forward to I can be excited to shed the weight quickly, but he won't even give me any shred of compromise here. This conversation ended by him going to sleep. No resolution for me. I am just hurt. I feel like after waiting all this time for him to propose and doing everything for him at home just to have him say this to me is so hurtful. I'm a very healthy individual but have some fat but mostly muscular. He is 5 feet 11, 220 pounds with a big belly and expects me to have a thigh gap. He also said he doesn't show his affection to me in public because he's not proud to show me off. I am a beautiful and loving woman and I'm so hurt to have my boyfriend of 2.5 years tell me he won't marry me unless I lose 30 pounds. What do I do? Do I stay and lose the weight then be unhappy with a proposal from a man who only loves me conditionally? Do I leave him? I don't want to break up with him and before this I was so sure about him, but now I think to myself, why should I be with a man who I have to lose weight for and a man who I have to beg to propose to me? I, 27M, got dumped by my GF, 26F, the day I went to the ER for a heart attack. Some background here. I've been dating this girl since October and we pretty much would hang out all the time and really enjoy each other's company. For the most part, our time together was always great except for any time the topic of taking things to the next level was brought up. She would always tell me that she would be afraid to commit because of unwanted judgment from her sisters who always thought she should see other guys or keep her options open. They were never big fans of me for some reason. I know one of her sisters but maybe only spoke to the other a handful of times. Despite this, she would always assure me that I was the one that made her happy and she wanted to be with me and she said her parents supported us. This past week on the 4th of July, I woke up in the middle of the night with some heavy chest pains and just could not go back to sleep. I assumed it was some bad acid reflux or something cause of some pizza I had eaten. I had already agreed to take my aunt to the airport that day, so despite the pain I drove to have lunch with my aunt and cousin and dropped them off at the airport. On the way back home, my chest started to hurt even more, so I called her to let her know what was going on with me and asked if she could take me to the urgent care or Upon hearing this, she got irritated and told me she was about to get her nails done and wasn't about to cancel her appointment. I pleaded with her to take me, telling her I was starting to get scared that it was something serious. She told me that I better be home within 15 minutes or she would not take me. Once she picked me up, she started to rant about how I knew she had a nail appointment and now this whole fiasco was eating into her gym time she had planned later. I told her how much I needed her in this moment and she kind of shrugged it off. I ended up being prescribed ibuprofen as they couldn't diagnose my pain correctly that day. Thinking that something was still wrong, I asked her to stay at my house with me to make sure I was okay. She got upset again and told me, "Don't you know it's the 4th, I have family coming over, I had to go." I went home to rest and tried the ibuprofen but to no avail. So I started calling her over and over, needing a ride to the ER. After multiple failed attempts to reach her, I took matters into my own hands and drove myself to the ER. It wasn't until I got admitted to the ER that I got a call from her asking why I called so many times. I explained to her that I had to drive myself and that I was being checked out at the hospital, and I asked her if she could come be there with me. Not only did she tell me that she wasn't going to come see me because her dog was scared of the fireworks, she also told me that she was completely done with me and over it. She explained that my actions were out of hand and that I was crazy for blowing up her phone earlier in the day. She told me that I ruined everything she had planned that day and she couldn't be with someone who was so needy. The whole time I was in the hospital she barely reached out and only started to ask me how I was feeling after I was released, which I haven't responded to. Obviously, this is a very emotionally difficult time for me, but it's still hard for me to let go. Do I just leave it alone and cut ties? Edit. Yes, I know I didn't provide details about the actual heart attack. Ultimately I was admitted and had a bunch of different tests done. Echogram, EKG, X-ray, multiple blood draws. The blood draws were what caught it since my troponin levels were abnormally high, like to an extreme. Doctors recommended a catheterization, which was done the next day. They tried to operate through my wrist but were unsuccessful, so they entered through my groin and were able to insert 2 stents into my right artery, which was 99% blocked. A branch of my artery was still clogged and they failed to open it that day, so I was scheduled for a second catheterization by a different cardiologist the next day. The second operation was also unsuccessful, but the doctors said the main blockage was taken care of, which would allow my heart to pump and took away the mess of pain I was having. A few days of recovery in the hospital afterwards and I was able to be released this past weekend.